half an hour, September morning meets the families of 4 British victims of the World Trade Center terrorist attacks. That's after the news.
Grief and anger as America stops to pay tribute. Bush says the war and terror will be won. Prince Charles comforts the bereaved at St. Paul's. And across Britain, victims are remembered.
ITV News at 10 with Trevor McDonald in New York and Mark Austin in London.
Good evening from New York, where dusk will soon begin to fall, enveloping the grief of the city, which has been remembering those who died on September the 11th last year. It's been a day of profound sadness and tears, as President Bush remarked. He arrived in New York a few minutes ago, flying past us here by helicopter. Any thoughts that the hurt of what happened here was fading proved false here and across this country. The day's been punctuated by poignant, heart-rending reminders. Silences at the moments the planes hit their unsuspecting targets, and then the reading of the names of those who died. That alone took 2.5 hours. Yet many New Yorkers listened to the entire list, either at Ground Zero or on television. Robert Moore watched it all.
The bereaved families clung to each other and struggled with memories of a warm autumn day 12 months ago. Pipers from the 5 boroughs of New York led the way onto the World Trade Center site. And all around them, the aching grief and the never-ending shock for an act of unimaginable evil.
John Leslie Albert. Peter Alderman.
The former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, began the roll call of those murdered, a list that took over 2 hours to read. Nearly 3,000 names recited, each one appearing to break the heart of onlookers.
David Lee Gamboa Brandhurst.
Michelle Renee Bratton.
Patricia Brown.
Lydia E. Bravo.
8:46 was the precise time when American Airlines Flight 11 scythed into the North Tower. A year ago, appalling destruction. Today, at the same moment, a silence descended across the city.
I don't remember the last time I told him that I loved him.
Mary Ann Keene's father was on the 64th floor of the Trade Center.
You were the best father I could ever ask for. I miss you, and I hope you didn't hurt too much.
Tina Brown.
Mourners gathered around a circle of honor at the very heart of Ground Zero. Families from vastly different backgrounds, from countless countries and from different faiths. 2,801 people died on this spot, and the horror of the suicide attacks still numbs the mind here. And still the names of the victims were being recited.
Dennis Buckley. Nancy Claire Buesch. Patrick Joseph Booth. John Edwards Bulaga Jr.
Yesterday's warnings of fresh terrorist attacks have in no way overshadowed today's ceremonies. President Bush has described this anniversary as a day of tears, a day of prayers, and a day of national resolve. The President arrived in New York a short time ago, his first visit to the site since he rallied exhausted rescuers and shocked New Yorkers in the immediate aftermath of the attacks. A final tribute is being paid to those who never escaped from the Twin Towers and to those who raced in to try and save others. The anniversary has allowed the city to grieve as one and allowed New Yorkers to quietly promise they will rebuild without ever forgetting what happened. Robert Moore, ITV News, New York.
President Bush isn't just sharing the day with the people of New York. He flew to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the 4th hijacked plane, United Airlines Flight 93, came down. There he met relatives of the 45 people on board. Some were praised as heroes for struggling to take on the hijackers. Before that, he was in Washington, where he had words of compassion for those killed in New York and at the Pentagon. But he also had this uncompromising message about the war on terror.
What happened to our nation on a September day set in motion the first great struggle of a new century. The enemies who struck us are determined, and they're resourceful. They will not be stopped by a sense of decency or a hint of conscience, but they will be stopped.
Today's commemorations at Ground Zero mark the end of a sorrowful journey for some of the families of the 67 Britons who died here. Forced to remember September the 11th, they wanted to do it here, to be close to where their loved ones died, and to be close to others who knew what they went through and what they're still enduring. Andrea Catherwood joined them at Ground Zero.
Trinity Church once lay in the shadow of the Twin Towers. Today it became the focal point for hundreds of bereaved families, many of them British, coming together in sorrow. A year ago, their lives were shattered. A missing poster for Jeff Campbell from Northampton, still pinned to the door of the New York apartment he shared with his fiancée Caroline. A year ago, he left the flat for a conference in the World Trade Center. He never came home. Caroline has approached this anniversary with a mixture of anticipation and dread.
This day will help me in the process of, progressing with my life. Yes, I do think about him. My heart is broken every single day, thinking about him. But I think this will be a big turning point.
This morning, she joined other families of the British dead who travelled here for the anniversary, including Elizabeth Turner, whose husband Simon was at the same conference. Their first baby, William, was born 2 months after his father's death.
He looks absolutely sick of Simon, so he's just an absolute joy to have around, and he's just, it helps me to sort of be with him and to sort of show him all the different things.
For many British relatives, the most painful and poignant moments came at Ground Zero, where their loved ones had died. Their names were read out at the service,
Jeffrey Thomas Campbell.
alongside the thousands of American dead. And Tom Clark, who lost his sister Saria, represented the British families as he stood beside Robert De Niro in the solemn roll call. For the British families who've come to New York, this service marks the end of a difficult but important pilgrimage which took them right to the spot where their loved ones were killed a year ago. Many see this as a milestone. They hope by taking part in this expression of collective grief and remembrance, it might in some way begin to heal the pain of their own personal tragedy. Andrea Catherwood, ITV News, New York.
This evening the crowds are still surrounding Ground Zero, those who went to work, reminding themselves on their way home of what happened there. Our correspondent James Mates is there too. James, clearly too early for any kind of closure, but as Andrea Catherwood said, the beginning of the process of healing today.
Very much so for these people. We must remember that more than half of the families had no remains to bury. For them, this Ground Zero is sacred ground. It is the only graveyard they have. We know how important it is to visit graves and put flowers on them on anniversaries even.